Howdy folks, this is Trader Big T with your trading lesson of today. First up, we have SOMX. Right here, we have a 2-day chart, 5-minute, and reapertrades.com, called this perfectly live in the Tim Alerts chat room. What we had is a red-green momentum scenario on some volume that occurred this morning, shortly after the open. Stock went way down here kind of a bit, and then it went from red to green very strongly on some volume, and it provided an excellent scalp. Great call, Michael. Okay, and then we move on, and almost at the same time, I called out live the BBX trade. That was really quite similar to it. We went from a red to green on some decent volume, and it just shot up over a number of minutes, and we had a nice play there. So that worked out as well. I'd like to talk about an interesting play, though, that occurred. And this was IDT. Now, this was on the watch list the previous night, and thought it was looking really overextended. I have a 2-day chart here, 5-minute, and the problem is that a trader in the room entered literally from the gun, and there wasn't really a signal here to go long, because you can see actually the stock on this two-day chart, 5-minute chart, gapped up to open pretty darn strongly, and there was just not a signal to go short yet. You don't go short just because something seems like it's up quite a bit and you think that it's going to collapse. It's not a promotion. It may not even be that simple. Now, the stock isn't really very liquid. Let's see, IDT. Here's the chart, and you can see this extension here. And right here, this was the day it actually ended up being a red day, but it didn't start that way, and there was no good entry signal to short it yet. But then the stock started coming back down, and eventually it kind of hovered around kind of an intraday support area around 270. And once it passed that, it was a short. Now, I avoided this because I like a stock like this to fall actually from the beginning on a fresh day. So when this looked like this was going to be an up day, I didn't really want to go intraday. Now, that's kind of a prejudice of mine, and it's not necessarily something you should try to adhere to yourself if you have some different opinions. But I just kind of avoided this. I think this will actually work out for somebody that did take this trade later on. It did recover fairly significantly later on in the day, but it was an interesting call there. Okay, and let's move on. It's a 2-day chart of Zane. Let's see, I think Zane. Yes, Zane. And let's take a look at Zane. And you recall from our watchers last night, I said still in play for a short on a break of support at 245-ish to the low 240s. Definitely it's in trouble under 240. And that's actually what happened today. What we got here was a situation where not too long after we opened, this is the next day here, we fell under that 240 and it was off to the races, and it was just beautiful. Unfortunately, this is a red show stock, I believe, so it was hard to obtain the borrows. So if you were able to, that'd be great. But it was a great play in theory, at least. All right, and let's look at that silly swing play of mine the other day, which finally had some sort of an up day, and I'm not sure. I know I didn't play this for real, but I might have papered it in the TOS account. I'm not sure. I have to check on that. And it had kind of a little modest up day, so eventually that was going to happen. If we look at, let's see here, look at EGLE. It was part of a stock fetcher scan kind of filter. Right here, you can see the stock, if you actually went in a couple of months, it's a decent move up. And then we had these multiple days in a row. And right here was the day that I initially mentioned it. We had this little hammer kind of here after like 4 days down of deep red in a row. And then we had yet another day, and of course it opened poorly on that day, so I wouldn't have entered. And here it gave some signs that it started recovering, and there was just like a quiet entry point that worked out. Now I wish I had done that on per, which was the other swing pick, but I did not. And this kind of went down a lot, and then we came to today, and it just, kind of gradually went up. And there were a few points where it would have been at, a little bit above, a little bit green on this session where you could have entered, and I did not, I don't believe. I'd like to show you, even when it looks like you've got a good setup, sometimes things just don't work. We had Posen, and we've got 2 sessions. Here's Friday, and then here's today, and just zoomed up really early, and then it consolidated. It just kind of went straight across sideways for a long time, and then late, live in the chat room, I had called this when it busted this area. I think this was, what was that number here? I believe it was, let's see here, $8. I believe $8 on some volume, and it had a stick that looked pretty good, and we beat that $8. But then, as you can see, that breakout was kind of false there, and it just kind of went a little sideways and almost reddish, and just didn't work out. So you had really an optimal setup. We've discussed this setup before, and you had a reasonable period of sideways price action, but it broke through that high. The high wasn't early enough in the day for my tastes. I like it to be a little earlier and even longer consolidation, but it was still a play, and it didn't work, and it gave every sign that it would work, and that's just the way it is in the stock market. You just never know for sure. That's why you're not investing in a CD or something. You are speculating, as it were. Okay, and then there was that huge news-related CTIC play that a lot of people banked on. I did not catch this. A lot of people didn't catch it. Well, at least one person, I think, caught this and played this for a very nice game, in the Tim Alerts chat room. And you had to be pretty quick to get in on this. And it was just this huge bounce when this stock resumed here. And it was just really nice for a really good long scalp. Okay. Until next time, folks, we'll see y'all in the trenches as you learn to trade with Big T.